So good afternoon and welcome back. And as you can see, I'm in Italy. I'm at the Bilges and I've just loaded up in the Volkswagen van some bricks to go on the top of the wall and the mortar to fix it. I've got some food. It's sitting pretty low on the ground, but we should be fine. So I'm going to go inside and pay, and then we'll head up to the house. Fella there, I don't know quite what he's doing. He seems very relaxed, and I'm not going to go any closer than that to him. It's been raining a lot. I guess it was pretty cold overnight and it was very sunny this morning, so he's probably warming himself up on the road, but he's not going to live long if he stays there. Okay, well, excuse me, good morning and welcome back. It's the next morning and I'm down on the big building site. So let's look at what we did last time, my newfound plastering discovery. So looks pretty good actually, to be honest. I think it looks fabulous. Let's go with the other side. And again, well, looks brilliant as far as I'm concerned. So a bit of a shame actually that the kitchen cabinets will be covering this up, but there we go. So yesterday we went down to the builder supply and got some bricks and some cement and some plaster. So that's the plan for the next, well, for today and tomorrow morning until I have to go back to Austria. And the bricks want to go on top of this wall here and on top of the other side over there up to the roof line. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So at the moment the beams go over the top of the wall and down onto the other side and onto this solibet. But what we need to do is build the wall up so that I can plaster all the way up. The ceiling will come and butt up against that, as will the insulation with a grill to stop animals nesting in the insulation. So the plan is basically just a brick along the top of these, and I think probably 2 bricks on the other side. So as you can see, it's quite a lot higher here, but I've got a sort of dodgy bit of wall, so I might have to backfill that and pour concrete in. And then there is a bit of wood there in the middle, and the concrete that we poured to put the roof on. So yeah, not as easy as I had this in my memory, unfortunately, but there we go. And there's my window hole, which we made the window for, but which because I left in a bit of a hurry and without much planning, I forgot in Austria. Clever me. Okay, so these are the bricks. They're not massive, but they'll do just fine. In Austria and Germany, for all I could see, they build this way round, and in Italy they build this way round. So I'm going to build this way round. So yeah, that's basically it. Bed underneath and then a bed on top. They are 25 by 25 by 12, I think. So we just want to get them set up. But I'm going to have to plan. I don't just want to start mixing stuff and putting them up, because that will probably go very wrong. And this doesn't need to be perfect because it's not a nice high wall, but it does need to be sort of so that I can plaster it in and you won't know. That's all I really want. Okay, well, this might not work at all the way I thought it was going to, because putting symmetrical things into non-symmetrical spaces is always going to be quite difficult. But I haven't got any stone to build this up with. I just don't have the stone. So and I don't know where I'd find the stone. So I'm going to have to build it up with something modernish, but as you can see, the line goes up and down. I could just pour a concrete belt, I guess. Yeah, not quite sure. Not quite sure if that's a good idea or not a good idea. Because my thought is, obviously the ceiling's going to be hung off these, and there'll be the insulation in between, so the ceiling will be hung quite a lot lower. It won't be screwed to this. It'll be hung about here-ish, I guess. So as it comes down, it's not far off the top of the wall here. But at some point, I'm going to need to build some sort of barrier to stop things nesting in. So that'll be probably just mesh all the way across the top of the wall. Up in behind the insulation. So basically, probably, yeah, basically touching the membrane, and then the insulation around it, and nailed up onto that bottom solibet. And then our ceiling will come down, and our ceiling will meet at some point. So what I didn't want was a step here, like a little dead space, but it might not be very big. I didn't want the ceiling to go over the wall. I wanted the ceiling to stop before the wall and butt up against the wall, which involves bringing the wall up, and then but that would again create here, I'm just thinking out loud now, that would create a little space here where the animals could come in and nest. So that's not good. I need to put the mesh along here, or even perhaps along the outside. So over on this side, the front side of the house towards the street, it's a bit different because obviously we put this up, and then there's wood here, and then we've got the stone wall here. So this is probably what the original roof was lent on, certainly not the one I took off. And then I had to build up that corner to tie it into that wall, because we had got the reinforcing bars going round. And you can see the bit of wall that I built up there with the stones that were left over. And on this side, the ceiling will be hung so that that beam there isn't visible, but this big one here is. So the ceiling will go between the two, basically. So that's how much hang we've got off the ceiling. And that, if you bring it down, then it'll bring the ceiling to come in about here. And then we'd have an empty space here. So unless I put my bricks on top of the bit of wood, which I don't think is a good idea, because the concrete isn't on top of the bit of wood, that's on top of wall, then I'm not sure. And taking the bit of wood out also seems pretty pointless, because there's nothing wrong with it, and it's going to be quite an exercise to get it out. So maybe I don't use any bricks at all. I've got a couple here. If I brick up here, which was my initial thought, is to brick up there, then I've got something here, like an empty space, which will eventually, in probably many years, but probably eventually turn into a nesting ground. Although I can put the grills up here quite happily, and that'll stop anything coming in under the roof. I don't want a stray mouse to wander in one day and think, oh, look at this. This is like Las Vegas, we can build a strip. So I'm not sure what to do, because I think also if I just plaster up and round and then have a bit of wood, I guess it could look okay. I don't know. I'm going to ask the better half what she thinks. Okay, well, as you can see, I'm back from shopping again. So I've got more plaster, and that'll keep me going until I have to go home tomorrow. I got some wire mesh to put under the line of the roof that I'll then plaster in, and that'll stop everything, and then we can see what we do. but I still don't want any hollow spaces. I've unloaded the rest of the bricks. I guess I'll put them in the cellar for now, or on the trailer or something. But yeah, it's going to be more of the same, more plastering, and putting this mesh up, I guess, this weekend. So this is the mesh I've chosen, which is 0.5 centimetre. That should keep almost everything out. I've cut the length, and I'm going to tack it onto the beams first, and then I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to make a sort of an S that the insulation will go into, and that should bring it up onto the up onto the edge of this, and that'll stop anything coming up from there. So there's a little gap at the bottom, which we'll deal with eventually when I do the facade, the front of the house. But this will do pretty much everything. And then up against the concrete and the wall at the end, I'll plaster it in, and that way we'll be completely animal proof. And there we go. So that gives us sort of like a little overhang cage, which the insulation can slot into, but won't make a nest. So keep going along to the end of the wall, and up here, and then it'll be lunchtime, and this afternoon I'll get the mixer on and we'll start plastering. And there we go, all the way along. So that's I did this. It's not necessarily the time to do this, but I guess there's no wrong time to do this. It has to be done, but it's helped me sort of clear up how far down the ceiling is going to align against the wall, and what's really important to do. So I think what I am actually going to do is just plaster up. The ceiling on this side will come down to about here, and the insulation will be in the middle, aerated from above because of the membrane, and then once the ceiling's in, we'll be able to see how it looks, and if we need to put something in the middle, but it'll be plastered up to, so it might look all right, but it will be a step, which is what I wanted to avoid, just simply because of dust and things like that. So yeah, the jury's out, but I do have a better idea of how the ceiling's going to come down. The ceiling will come down just above those rocks there, so it'll cover up the bit I did and cover up that beam. And as it comes down, then yeah, I guess we will have to do something here, but at least now it's sort of animal proof, or it will be animal proof. I know how much insulation needs to go in, so it'll be about 15 centimeters of insulation. Yeah, and then this bit of wood and that bit of wool. So there we go. I'm going to go and have some lunch, and then I shall come back and get the mixer started, and we'll keep going with some plastering. So just before lunch, I've got some old paint and an old paintbrush, and just painted over where I've done a good first layer. So up here, for example, which I went over with the sponge, it looks fine and I would leave it, but we have seepage, and obviously with the second layer we don't get any seepage at all anymore. So I was just trying to find out if after the first layer I can paint and not get any seepage. So I painted some up here, a little bit over here, and some over here where it's not been smoothed out, so you can see the difference on that for the first layer, and we'll see what seeps through. Okay, well, I've had my lunch, and I guess the bad news is it still seeps very, very slightly through. So the next question is going to be, will a second coat of paint do? Probably not. But in the meanwhile, I've got my first mix set up, and I'm going to keep going where I stopped last time, and keep going on down here, around there, and then I'll get back up top. So yeah, just more of the same as usual. Okay, well, I'm back up on top of the scaffold, and we're going to do another layer on this and keep working up. so that I can then take the scaffold down and move it somewhere else, probably over the other side, because next time I'll be fitting that window as well. But from up here you can see what I mean about the gap. That water was just me being an idiot a minute ago with the hose pipe. It went off in the wrong direction. But yeah, no, I need to put mesh in there as well, but then I still need something to sort of finish the wall, because it's just that bit of wood that the whole thing sat on. So there we go. Right, my bucket of muck is there, my wall is here, something to hold the camera over there, so ready for some time lapse. Okay, well, I don't know if you can tell from the time lapse just how much I don't like being up here, but we're getting there. It's another bucket load, so I'm going to go downstairs, do some more downstairs, because it's super tiring, because I'm all sort of tensed up here, because it does sort of wobble. It is tied in and it's not going anywhere, because it can't really go anywhere, but I still don't like it. So there we go. Time to head back down, fill up my bucket and do some more somewhere else. Okay, so I've blended that into the top, and this time I'm trying to go as high as I physically can to avoid that sort of middle patch there, which is going to be annoying for later. So yeah, oops, I've gone quite high, and well, we're getting there. You know, we really are getting there. This is starting to look more and more like a room. So now I'm going to leave it for a little bit and then do my wet sponge thing like I did over there. Yeah, and then we'll see if we keep going. I haven't got a clue what time it is, but it doesn't look too late, but then again it doesn't look too early either. Well, we'll see. I'll have a look in a minute if I do another bag or two. But yeah, definitely making progress. So it's time now to start with the sponge on the first bit I did, and then slowly move back round. I won't bother doing up there because that's first layer, but the time is marching on, so I'm not sure if I'll get much more done this afternoon, this evening rather. I'll have to have a look once I'm done with the watering bit. There we go. So we're certainly getting up to quite a lot of bits now. It'd be hard pushed to tell where it was and where it wasn't plastered before now. But we're getting to a large chunk that's now ready for paint. Upstairs, obviously, it's quite a lot less volume, but it is more of a pain. But now time has marched on. I'm not going to get much more done now. So I'm going to tidy up, and I'll have an early night-ish. I'll be back in tomorrow. Though having said that, this evening there is polenta and sugo down in the bottom of the village, so I will go and have dinner there, but I'll try and behave and not be back too late. Okay, well that's it for today. I'm about to head down and eat, so I'll show you that afterwards, but I'll say goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for following along. Thank you for liking, and the best way to make the channel grow is to like the videos, comment the videos, and tell other people about them. So yeah, we have been growing, and we are still growing. So there's a lot left to do, but it's been a pretty good day. And you know, I'm always so happy to be here. So now I'm going to show you, or later on I shall show you some polenta sugo from down at the bottom, and maybe some of the birdie visitors I've had up here on my bird camera. You see it's a bit grey there. It's sort of October, but still, there's not many places I'd rather be. So thank you very much, take care, and bye bye for now.
Lo sapevo. Sì, lo conosco.